Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to show you guys how to do a scope site in Fusion. So here is our shot. It ended up looking like this. Here's the start with no grade. And then we added a little camera shake and some blurring and stuff like that. So let's jump in and I'll show you how to do it. So I took this clip over to Fusion and here is our node flow over here. I have a scope example on the left here. And that gave me the idea of, why not try and remake these graphics? So here's our ending point, and this is just a little reference, so I have something to work off of. I actually have my workspace under a Fusion preset called Midflow Vertical, and that gives me the node tree on the right here and stacks the viewers on the left side. And then you can change which one is more prominent, and then you could also click if you wanted a single screen viewer. So this is our scope I kind of used to just get the imaging, how it was blurred, things like that. And then here is our original shot. So if we shut off all of these, that's pretty much our scope. We do have our tools overlaid. So if we get that out of the way, we have that. Also added a little bit of the gun rest here. And that's done on these polygon background nodes. Added a little glow to the overall image to kind of give it this little bit of a diffused look. And I have a blur going on right here. There's outside and an inside blur. I got 3 of them actually going on. So let's walk through and I'll show you how this works. Let's shut these guys off and we'll shut the blur and the glow and the camera shake off. So we're starting mainly with all these nodes here. So I will shut everything down. We still have the tools up, but we'll walk through each one. So once again, the original shot just looked like that. I added a little bit of a grade on the color page. That's running into this merge here, which is allowing for these 2 polygons that make the gun rest. And then I have a multi-merge, so there's 2 in a row. You can get to the multi-merge right here. It's a regular merge with 2 inputs for the icon. And then essentially everything else is backgrounds with some kind of either polygon or an ellipse. So we'll start with the first one here. This first is just a background. So if we view it on here, it's just a black background. And we'll go back to our media out. And then I have an ellipse enabled. And what I did on that was just change the border width. So I shrunk it down. So if we take another example here, maybe I'll grab one and we'll pull that out and I'll get a new ellipse right here and just drag that in. So I'm going to feed that into the background. This background, once again, is just black. And then the ellipse here tells it what to do. So I gave it a little bit of a soft edge and then brought the border width down. Decheck solid, and then border width will give you just the outside edge. And then the soft edge just makes it not so defined. So that's pretty much what that was. So if we get rid of that and we feed our original back in. So that is the first ellipse for the outside circle. And you can label your nodes by clicking on them and hitting F2 and it'll pop up a rename box. So that's our outside circle. Second one here, I put this gray outline on. So if we get rid of this one here, the gray is almost transparent essentially. So I chose the color picker and just slid it up from the black and brought the alpha down. That kind of what gives it this like sort of glow effect outside the black circle. So it's kind of like a little bit of a halo on the outside edge. If I was to grab this again and start adjusting the alpha. So I just did that till I thought it looked pretty good, because if we look at our original scope here, it's kind of got this little bit of a haloing on the outside, so I kind of liked that. All right, then I ended up adding in the horizontal and vertical crosses and the outside circle. The circle I just labeled cross, and once again, that is just an ellipse and shrunk down and with the alpha down a little bit. And then for the 2 vertical lines, same thing, background with a rectangle this time, and I pretty much just moved the height and the width until it became thin enough to look like a line. So that was the vertical, and then there's a horizontal one as well. So then we get the 2 crosshairs. Let me go back to the full screen on here. So that's what these 2 particular nodes are. is just this cross area. So that gives us the outside ellipse and the two crosshairs. In fact, this one looks like, I don't know if it's perfectly centered. Let's look on here. Well, it says it is. The height and the width is a little bit oblong, but that sort of looked a little closer to me. So that is the outside of the scope and everything like that, and the inside crosshairs. And then that didn't look good because we're still crystal clear on all the viewpoints. So one thing I did was I added a bit of a glow here. So if we add that, this one's a little more subtle. I don't even know if it's showing up. By the way, a new feature, if you go to Media Out, you have a way to view this with no LUT, the color LUT, or a mix, which will show you the composite mode. So that wasn't a feature available before in Resolve until 20 just came out. So if you want Fusion to run through your color page and then show you what the preview is on your last media out node, that's how you do that. All right, so then let's go through the blurring effects. Here is the outside blur. So as you can see, anything on the outside here, once again, I just used this ellipse here and blurred anything that was in the white area. And blur is right up here, this little icon right there. So I added that. And then if we go media out again, I did the inside the scope blur. So as we add that, you can see we start to get a little bit of diffusion here. And that one is just inside. And then I have another blur here. This says outside blur. So that's actually diffusing the outside even further. So it's almost just a harder edge blur. So anything in the white area is getting blurred out a little more extreme. So we grab that and shut it on and off. That's sort of what the reference pic looked like, where the desert's kind of blurred out here and just sells the effect a little bit. And I added a camera shake just to give it a little bit of movement. But then I thought just having a target here obviously doesn't match where you could see part of the scope or the gun rest here. So if we go to the media out, I added a background here. This is just a polygon, which I got from here and just kind of drew a shape loosely. And that's being fed over a black background again. So once again, if the polygon's off, it would just be a black background merged before all this. And then same thing with the right side. And what I did here was just grab it, I copied it, and then I flipped the image over. I did the Y rotation to 180 degrees. So I basically copied my shape, pulled it over. I did make it a little bit adjusted, but that's how I got this to copy. You can select your node here like this, hit Command C or Alt C, and then paste an instance there. And then I just went in and adjusted the Y-axis for the polygon right here to 180. So those merge in before the scope. So they're actually overlaying before we see the scope. So that's why if you shut these on and off, they actually cover it up a little bit. We got a little bit of a gap there I could probably fix. Pull this tangent. And this edge looks kind of weird too. I'm gonna leave that a little nicer. Something like that. I didn't spend a very long time on this, but polygons for the gun rest, and then ellipses for the rest of the graphics here. And now the camera shake, I don't know if there's a shortcut for camera shake, but if you hit Shift Space, this is your tool selector shortcut, and you can just type in camera and there's a camera shake. You drop that in. And what that does is it's got some parameters in here for X and Y deviation and randomness and strength. So I'll play it with it shut off. And you can see the cars are moving here, but it's just looking like a static shot, kind of boring. So rather than do something in the edit page, I just added this camera shake. And if we play it like that, it gives a little bit of wobble to the shot. So that's pretty much the walkthrough on this. Just ellipses and polygons, little camera shake, some glow, and then a little bit of blurring to get these areas to have the different blur. More on the outside, a little less here, and a little bit even less pronounced right in the middle. So, all right, that's it for today's video. Let me know if you guys want more Fusion content or if you got some other topic you want me to make a video on, and I'll get going on it. As always, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll talk to you guys on the next video.